The drama surrounding Caitlin Clark and the WNBA's stalled collective bargaining negotiations has quietly shifted into a new phase, and it didn't happen through fiery statements, public ultimatums, or threats of a work stoppage. It happened through something far more powerful and far more calculated: visibility. While negotiations dragged into their fourth month with no resolution in sight, Clark didn't post demands or grievances. She posted herself doing the one thing that built the league's current momentum in the first place: connecting with fans. A simple off-season Instagram montage of her signing autographs for hundreds of Fever supporters carried a message that landed louder than any press release. It was time to get back to this. Not the arguing. Not the posturing. Basketball. At a moment when the WNBA and the Players Association remained locked in a stalemate, Clark's timing was impossible to ignore. Talks had reportedly stalled over revenue-sharing formulas and opt-out clauses that would allow negotiations to reopen after just 2 years. The league office warned that instability could jeopardize long-term broadcast deals and sponsorship commitments. The union held firm, framing the issue as a matter of respect and fair compensation. And while both sides dug in, Clark reminded everyone what actually generates leverage in the first place: fans. Attention. Games being played. Her post wasn't loud, but it was strategic, because it reframed the entire debate around the product rather than the dispute. That same clarity carried over to her appearance on NBC's NBA coverage, a moment that quietly redefined her influence beyond the court. NBC's Basketball Night in America debuted to 4.5 million viewers, a record for the network's NBA coverage in recent seasons. Clark wasn't slotted into a short, pre-packaged segment. She stood live between two NBA legends, held her ground for the entire pregame show, and delivered analysis that network leadership later described as checking every box they hoped for. This wasn't a publicity stunt. It was an audition for a future that extends far beyond her rookie contract, and she passed it effortlessly. What made that appearance even more consequential was how she handled the inevitable questions about the WNBA's labor situation. While others have leaned into rhetoric about worth and demands, Clark consistently redirected the conversation back to momentum and the importance of continuing to play basketball. She framed the league's current moment not as a bargaining chip, but as something fragile that needs protecting. That distinction matters. It signals leadership rooted in long-term vision rather than short-term leverage, and it highlights a fundamental truth that often gets lost in labor disputes. None of the money matters if there are no games to generate it. This is where Clark's approach sharply diverges from much of the union's public messaging. While Players Association leadership has emphasized unity and strength in demands, Clark has emphasized continuity. While others talk about what players deserve, she talks about what fans are responding to. It's not that she opposes a fair deal. It's that she understands the risk of misreading the moment. The WNBA is coming off a season of unprecedented growth, with attendance jumping nearly 50% and national television viewership more than doubling. The Fever alone drew playoff audiences that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Major sponsors dramatically increased their investments, not on promises, but on proof. That momentum is real, and it is perishable. Clark's influence lies in her ability to apply pressure without alienating anyone. She doesn't undermine her teammates, but she also doesn't echo language that hints at sacrificing a season to win a negotiation. She understands something that complicates her role in all of this. Her personal incentives are not perfectly aligned with those of veteran players whose WNBA salaries represent their primary income. Clark is on a modest rookie deal, but she earns tens of millions annually through endorsements. A canceled or delayed season hurts the league and the fanbase, but it doesn't threaten her financial stability. What it threatens instead is time. She's 22 years old, coming off a historic rookie season, and every missed year is a year of development and competition she can't get back. That difference in incentives explains why her messaging is so carefully calibrated. She never criticizes the union. She never sides publicly with the league office. But she consistently emphasizes playing games, building momentum, and staying connected to fans. It's a narrow needle to thread, and she's threading it with remarkable discipline. In doing so, she's also created a bind for the Players Association. They can't push back against her without appearing dismissive of fans or indifferent to the league's growth. They can't frame her stance as anti-player without contradicting their stated goal of expanding the game's value. Her position is difficult to attack because it aligns with the outcome everyone claims to want. Meanwhile, networks like NBC clearly see her long-term value. Her on-air presence wasn't treated as a one-off experiment, but as a preview of what her future in sports media could look like. If the WNBA season were delayed or disrupted, Clark wouldn't disappear from the public eye. She would likely become even more visible, stepping into expanded broadcasting roles and further strengthening her mainstream appeal. That reality shifts the power dynamics of the negotiation in subtle but important ways. The Players Association needs her star power more than she needs the union to resolve this quickly. Veteran players risk losing income and momentum. Clark risks losing game reps, but her platform continues to grow regardless. That's why her Instagram post mattered so much. It wasn't just content. It was context. A reminder of what's at stake if these negotiations drag on too long. Fans don't follow revenue-sharing percentages. They follow players. They show up for games. They buy jerseys. They engage with moments. Clark's message cut through the noise by centering the very thing that made this labor dispute relevant in the first place. Without basketball, there is nothing to negotiate over. The league office has every reason to appreciate her tone, even if she's not intentionally advocating for their position. She's making the argument for stability simply by highlighting what instability threatens to undo. Sponsors grow cautious. Broadcasters adjust schedules. Casual fans drift away. Momentum doesn't pause politely while adults argue in conference rooms. It erodes. And every week without resolution increases the risk that the gains of the past season won't carry forward. The larger question now is whether Caitlin Clark's influence actually moves the needle. Does her emphasis on playing force a recalibration within the Players Association? Does it embolden the league to hold firm, believing public sentiment is on the side of continuity? Or does the stalemate persist, with the most marketable player in the sport watching her prime years get tangled in a dispute she didn't create and can't resolve alone? What's clear is that Clark has already taken control of the narrative. Not by shouting but by showing. Not by demanding, but by demonstrating where the real value lies. And that leaves the league at a crossroads. A generational star is telling everyone, in the most visible way possible, that the window is open right now. The fans are here. The cameras are rolling. The momentum is real. The only question left is whether the people in charge are willing to protect it, or whether they're prepared to risk it all over percentages on a spreadsheet. Now it's your turn. Do you think Caitlin Clark's quiet pressure actually forces progress in these negotiations, or are we headed toward a delayed season that stalls everything the league just built? Let me know what you think. Drop your prediction below, and if you want more deep dives into the stories shaping the WNBA right now, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay locked in.